Well, good evening, folks. This is the Christian Hearts Christian Fellowship Online Ministry. I'm your pastor, Brother Isaac David Bregman, and I wanted to talk to y'all today on Psalms. This would be Psalms 25. I'm going to go to 10. Okay. Of David. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. To my God, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exalt over me. Indeed, none who wait for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are wantonly teachers. Okay, what they mean by that, from what I say, and if you think I'm wrong, then you can correct me about it. But what I think that meant is that they're saying that we're supposed to be like David. We're supposed to put our trust in the Lord, and we're supposed to be able to say that we don't want our enemies to lord over us, to be our masters, and to be our people that control us. But see, that's the thing, folks. You don't get it. A lot of you are sitting there talking about what you want happening or don't want happening in life, and you don't really think about what you're saying. You don't think about the fact that, if we're people of God, that we should be able to say, hey, we're people of God, and we're not supposed to let nobody tell us what to do except for those that are of God. And those that are of God should be those that tell it like it is. Excuse me. This is the alarm clock going off. But anyway, what I was saying was, we should be the kind of people that says that when the word is spoken as to what we should or should not do in life, it should be based on our trust in God and God's trust in us, and that He leads us where He wants us to be. But see, that's another thing I don't understand with some folks. They're too busy trying to tell the world where they don't belong or where they do belong. And the thing is, if you start trying to tell a man what he should or shouldn't do with his life, and you haven't really looked at God and looked at that man like, well, God, what do I do about this man's problems that is bothering me? It bothers me to know this stuff's happening, but I can't do nothing about it. So what do you want me to do? Well, God's going to look at you, and He's going to tell you in your face, son, I didn't want you worrying about that man's life. Son, I didn't want you worrying about that man's heart and soul. I wanted you to worry about yourself, and I wanted you to worry about that man's life only where I tell you to worry about the man's life. So if I told you to worry about the man's life as in like go out there and protect him and keep him safe from all harm, then I expect you to do that. Don't dilly-dally or daddle, however you say it, and don't. And for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Pastor Brother Isaac David Bregman of Coffee County in the state of Georgia. I'm 37-year-old. I was born May the 15th, 1981. I'm a white male. And I say these things because y'all can't see me sometimes, and y'all hear my voice, and you kind of wonder sometimes, what does it mean? What does it mean? So I'm telling you what it means. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. I'm not sitting here trying to beg you to believe in what I'm saying. I'm telling you what I'm telling you because there's a lot of you out there that don't understand about God, and they don't understand about Jesus. And you sit there and you complain day in and out that God and Jesus don't exist. God and Jesus don't exist. But yet you have not even thought to think to yourself, how did I get up that morning? How did I get that? God allowed you to wake up and drink that cup of coffee, drink that hot chocolate, drink that hot tea, and eat that breakfast that you had. He said He could have just snapped His fingers and you was wiped off the face of this earth. But see, people don't want to live that way. They want to live in the world of you told someone what to do and they must do it the way you said it and not the way it's supposed to be. See, a man can sit there and talk trash to a woman these days, and people get off on that. And I don't mean sexually. I'm talking about get off, like as in the man doesn't even get punished for what he said or done. Man could talk trash all he wants. It don't mean nothing. Me, I don't believe in that. I believe that anyone that does wrong should be punished for what they do, and he shouldn't be let go of it. But see, people too busy saying, you've got to live your life according to what world wants you to live. They say, hey, you can say what you want to anybody, and it's not supposed to mean nothing. The words you use today can affect your life tomorrow. Never say something today out of anger that you will or will not do tomorrow, because it'll come back to haunt you. It'll come back to get you in the butt, and you will think, well, why did I say that? Because of the fact that you were mad at somebody at the time, and you didn't think about what you were saying, and you let that anger get out of hand. God says, if you trust in Him and He trusts in you, then there's no need for that anger. There's no need for it. You should be more worried about, if you got to be mad at somebody, be mad if they disrespect God. Don't pick some nitpicky thing, some little petty thing to get mad about at this person, because you think about it today. What you're saying today doesn't have nothing to do with it. This Holy Bible has a lot more in it than you realize. I mean, you think about it. I mean, like I could tell you some stuff. And see, the reason why in Revelations, when they talk about the 7 churches, the reason why, and you can look in Revelation from top to bottom, but the reason why that God treated the 7 churches like He did was, I believe that some of these churches were so full of, like the Laodicean church, I believe that they were full. Now, if I'm wrong, you correct me. I believe they were full of rich people that gathered for the pleasure of gathering, not for the pleasure of gathering for God and Jesus and to worship God and Jesus. People that have money, I'll tell you, their version of God and Jesus worshiping has nothing to do with what God and Jesus actually said. They won't even talk about what God and Jesus actually said. They'll talk about what they want to talk about and expect you to listen to everything they said. Don't even care about what's going on in the world today. Don't even care about what's going on in the world tomorrow. Be more worried about what's going on now, and they'll be more worried about saying, we got God and Jesus in our pocket. No. You don't have God and Jesus in your pocket, because if you had God and Jesus in your pocket, you wouldn't have to. If you had God and Jesus in your pocket, well, actually, that's a hard thing to say, because, we can't say, well, if we had God and Jesus in our pocket, what we would or wouldn't do. Because to think about it, you don't have God in your pocket. We don't have God in our pocket, because we don't pay God to do us a miracle. God says that if we really want to pay Him for a miracle, then there's a deal. We buy a miracle with our heart. We buy a miracle with our minds, bodies, and souls. And we don't sit there and talk about, well, this and, well, that. See, there's too many things going on in this world. Hold on, folks. Let me be right back. See, a lot of times we think to ourselves, before I get started, I used to do this a lot. I used to do broadcasts like this a lot, and then I got out of it for a little while, and then it was like I was being punished with my conscience by, you need to go back and do it some more, and you need to get into it. But what I'm saying is, we don't own God. Our God owns us, and if we want a true blue miracle from God, then what we got to do is tell God that we're going to do everything that God said to do in order to get that miracle. So that means that we got to sit there and say, God, we're going to do what you ask us to do to get those miracles. We're going to do what you ask us to do to get those things happening to us that we need happening from you. And you know what? God loves us enough to tell us if we really want a miracle from Him right now, then what we got to do for God is to take ourselves and to say we will pay for those miracles with our mind, body, heart, and soul. And God said, okay, you paid the price for a miracle. I'll give you a miracle because you deserve it. And see, a lot of people get all butt hurt and been out of shape and stuff, and they'll be saying things like, well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Well, what happened was that we live in a world where people say things that they don't mean to say and they don't need to say. And they'll say it today, but then tomorrow they look back at it like, well, why did I say those things I said? Well, a lot of times when your conscience gets to you, and that's like God talking to you, telling you that you messed up and that you did something you shouldn't have done. You sat there and ran your mouth and you said, I'm going to beat the tar out of so-and-so because he made me mad. But see, there are folks that say these things and they don't mean a word of it, and then there's some that do, and you can't tell which is which, so you have to just watch yourself and be careful because you don't know what's going to happen anymore. So I say in this day and age, we need to stop talking trash. We need to stop talking the bad stuff and start saying, well, what God wants and what should be, because if you don't get what God wants, or if we don't get what God wants, then what kind of life are we going to live? I tell you, folks, it's high time we stop trying to tell the man next door how bad he is. Start looking at, well, was it really his fault for all the things that happened, or was it your fault? And you need to start looking at it now. We don't need to be on this trip about, well, you said this, you said that, and all this is going on, because I've seen people, they'll be talking about, well, you know what, this is what's going on, or that's what's going on. and you don't know what to say. So I say to you people, if you're going to talk about God and Jesus, at least know what you're talking about to start with, because I've seen too many people get this attitude where they'll talk about, well, that man over there and that man over there and that lady over there and that whatever over there. It's not all about all that mess. It's about trying to get God and Jesus into the picture. And if we can't do it, I don't know what to say about it. You know, I say that it's the best thing to do by trying to talk to people and by trying to get people to understand what you're saying. If you can't get people to understand that, I don't know what to say about it. But we're living in a day and age where we need to wake up and realize that God's not sitting there trying to hurt you. He's trying to help you. Now, there'll be times that you will see things happening through God and that you will cry and wonder why God let it happen. But it wasn't because that God was trying to say he don't love you. It was that he loved you enough to do stuff for you, do stuff for others that he didn't have to do. So what are you telling me? You know, oh, well, I'm telling you that God only puts trouble in your way that he knows you can get out of once you learn the lesson that he's given you. The devil wants to put you in troubles you'll never get out of and never see the light of day of. And that's the thing. We don't need to be in a world like that. We need to be in a world of being in trouble with God and God putting us in those troubles just so he can get us out and be saved. And if we can't get that to ourselves, I don't know what to say, folks, because it's getting to the point now where you can't say nothing. You can't do nothing. I mean, we live in a world of, what am I doing? I'm talking to you now because I love you people. But it's hard to say, hey, how you doing today without somebody want to get mad about it because it's not their language or their cup of tea or whatever you want to call it. So I say to you people, if you can't talk straight and come out clear and correct with people, what's the use? Because I've seen it happen, and I know it's happened before, and it will happen if we don't get that mess straightened out. Because what good does that do us? We can't even tell people the truth about ourselves because they want us to say that we're bad. They want us to say that we are no good and that we are nothing. But we won't do it if we don't believe in that mess. I mean, I don't want to say that because if I did that, what kind of good would that do me? What kind of good would that be to me if I did that? Because I sure enough don't think that I need to be the kind of man that you need to hear about in the newspaper doing something stupid or doing something bad and going to jail and all that. But see, we can't get that going because we're too busy saying, well, what's up with this? What's up with this? I'll tell you what's up with it. If you stop all the crime and all the mess you're doing, then you wouldn't have to worry about nothing wrong going on. But we can't do that because we're too busy hearing people say how bad this is, how bad this is. I'll tell you something. Bad comes when bad comes. But don't think I'm stupid enough to think that you're going to tell me how to live my life if you're not God. Because God is God, and he's the one that should be the controller of all things, living and non-living, because that's the way things are. But see, that's not how people want to be anymore. They want to be do as what God didn't say or do with something else. And I'm telling you, folks, if you think about it, we can't live in a world of why did you do this, why did you do this. We could be in a world of why didn't you do this and why didn't you say this. And I'll tell you, folks, I'm the guy that wants to talk to you about your life. I want to talk to you about your soul. I want to talk to you about your salvation. And I want to tell you that if you don't get it straight today, you won't never see nothing good going on in this world. And I'm going to tell you something. This has been a day, there's been a day, or this is the day, that we need to come together and talk to God from now until the rest of our lives. We should have done it from the beginning, but we didn't do it because we were too busy hearing what somebody had to say about something. And it don't make no sense how the world you're supposed to be affected by something that you don't even know what you're doing. I mean, I got to tell you something, folks. I'm not trying to be dirty, but if you really want me to be, I could be. I could tell you all kind of stuff now. I could tell you from the day you're born to the day you die that everything's going to be all right. But how do I know that? I don't know, because God's the one that can control you and know your future, your past, your present, and know your life as though it is the only thing there is. And so that's what I'm saying.